Okay, so right, we're here in a rather, well, a lovely part of London, shall we say? The urban streets of London with former decathlete Dean Macey. So Dean, can you just tell us a little bit about why you're here?
Well, this isn't the first time, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last time I take part in the urban gym. I think it's a great concept. I think it's a great idea, and you know, it does prove to people, even at the highest level, not that I am at the moment, but I used to be, that you don't need to go into gyms and pay an awful lot of money for memberships that you're not going to use. Sign up to classes like this, particularly the urban gym, because the trainers are fantastic. And well, look, we've only done a short session today, and I'm knackered. It's so awesome using London and the facilities, and it's brilliant running, you know, around the Millennium Bridge and stuff like that. Using it all. People walk past this day in, day out, and they don't realise what you can do to keep yourself healthy and fit. Your cardiovascular system, your muscular endurance systems. I mean, you can do almost anything at the urban gym.
And we've just seen you've been doing pull-ups underneath Millennium Bridge. You've been running all around the city.
No, I didn't do pull-ups. They did.
Thanks.
Mine, you could call mine pull-ups.
So how does it differ from the usual training you used to do then? It must have been on a track.
Yeah, on the track, but in all honesty, mine was on the track, but I used to use all the stands and the seats, and you'll have to excuse me, I still ain't recovered yet, but I used to use all the facilities on the track to the similar sort of degree as this. You know, and all my conditioning work, which used to last up to 3 months, very, very similar to this. Very dynamic, very powerful, lots and lots of cardiovascular workouts. And I used to pride myself on being maybe not the most talented person in the Olympics, but certainly psychologically the strongest, and physically the best conditioned. And I think if you asked anyone that I competed against, they'd agree with you. Or I'd give them a whooping anyway. But seriously, I mean, the exercises I used to do are very similar to these sort of things. And I can tell you now, after a 25-30 minute workout, like I said, my legs are burning. I can barely lift my arms up to wipe my nose. And God knows what I left over there in the corner earlier on.
So how does this compare then? You're saying, obviously, you know, you're an Olympic athlete, been to 2 Olympics, Commonwealth Games, European Worlds. How does this kind of training compare to the stuff you were doing?
No, brilliant. It's almost exactly the same, you know. It's just in a totally different environment. And I think for guys that work in the city, people that live in and around London, this is absolutely spot on, because they don't have to go and find tracks like I used to use. But I mean, if I had a 9 to 5 up here, this is what I would be doing, by choice.
I mean, you were really unfortunate and you had some really serious injuries when you were competing. You had sort of years on the sidelines through injury, but you still managed to go to 2 Olympics, as you said, you know, finished 4th in 2. Is that like a real, not a regret as such, because you've been to Olympics, but to finish so close to medals twice?
Well, I mean, my main regret is Sydney Olympics, because I was certainly in shape to win that. I was 72 points behind the gold medal, so there's, you know, 4 people separated by a small amount, and I think I lost 150 points in the discus and the shot. But I still scored an overall PB, so the performance I've got to be happy about. And like I said, I was disappointed with that 4th place, but on the flip side of the coin, in Athens, I should have come 10th and I come 4th, and I well outperformed myself and everyone else. You know, I mean, my training partner should have given me an absolute whooping. He came 5th. Yay! If you're watching, Shill. You know, so 2 4th places, mixed emotions really, but I have to say, you know, Seville, which was my breakthrough, the World Championship silver medal, and obviously the Commonwealth Games in 2006, the gold medal, you know, 2 of the highlights of my career. But every time I stepped on the track, and I know it sounds corny, but because it was the decathlon, because it took so much to prepare for it and to get it out there and do 48 hours of competition, I've got no regrets.
Now, a lot of people, they might be struggling to get out to the Commonwealth. There's a lot of stuff going on with that in a minute, but you'd obviously recommend it. I mean, winning gold, that, as you said, is one of the highlights of your career. So would you know, urge everyone to go out there and compete?
At some stage, for every person, every competitor that's a member of the Commonwealth Games is important at some stage. It was important for me because it was my last chance at a gold medal. It was important for Asafa Powell and Usain Bolt at the earlier stages of their career. Maybe not so now, but that's understandable. And the similar with Philip Stowell. He's already a Commonwealth champion. He's already a world champion, so he doesn't need to go back there. But for all the up-and-coming athletes, they should definitely get their backsides out there, regardless of the problems, and make the most of it, because it's still the only competitive championship that's anything like an Olympics. You know, the swimming, the cycling, the rowing, they all hold their European and World Championships separate to the athletics and everything else. Commonwealth Games is a mini Olympics, yeah, and it's an experience that you cannot match.
Obviously, you were kind of forced into retirement slightly with your injuries and such, but I was reading that you actually tried your hand at bobsleigh racing.
Yeah, and I might go back next year as well.
With Jason Gardner. I mean, what was that like then? How did you get into that?
Well, it was a BBC documentary, if I'm honest, and I didn't know what to expect, but I was laying on a physio bed getting fixed. Unusual, not. And this producer rang me up and said, "You fancy bobsleigh?" And I went, "Well, you know, what's the catch?" She goes, "Well, the catch is, you're definitely going to crash. It will definitely hurt, but you're more than likely to walk away from it." And I was like, "Sign me up!" And I went as a pusher and ended up being a half-decent driver. qualified for the European Cup, but we didn't take the place because we wanted to give it to the Great Britain team that, you know, that wanted to be there. But next year I've had an offer to go back and try out, and if I qualify, if it happens, if I qualify, I'm gonna race in the European Cup, and it's the only sport that if I won the lottery this Friday or Saturday or whenever it is, I would buy myself bobsleigh and I'd do it. It's mad, absolutely crazy. But I need to put on a little bit of muscle. I've been doing so much of the long stuff that I've lost too much muscle.
So I mean, that was kind of going to be my last question. I was going to say, I mean, you've been athletics, what's next? But obviously,
fishing. I just come back from the World Fishing Classic, the World Carp Fishing Classic. We came 8th, yay! So mate, whatever, throw it at me, I don't mind.